Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
There will be an ad at the end of this video. And this video will be a little bit longer than usual because there's a very lengthy case I'm going to be talking about out of Tennessee. And a lot of people asked me to take a look at this case. The opinion's 20 pages long, but I think we can jump through some of that pretty quickly. The question is, if your license plate on your vehicle has a personalized message on it, a vanity plate, is that protected by the First Amendment? Should you be allowed to say anything you want on your license plate? So just so you know, this is a real license plate. And it's in Michigan that someone got this license plate and put it on the back of their car. The one in the car's got the tab in the corner to make it real. And so that message there, is that protected by the First Amendment? So out of Tennessee, the case is called Leah Gilliam versus the commissioner of the Tennessee Department of Revenue, who I believe is who issues the license plates. And this woman had a license plate on her car for over a decade that said, and this is the characters, 69 PWNDU. And many people will recognize the PWND as an internet joke that goes back to the early days of internet memes and video games. And somebody at one point said somebody gotten owned, but they misspelled it with a typo as a P instead of an O, and that became the joke. It's kind of like all your base are belong to us. And of course, the 6 and the 9, besides being referenced in a Jimi Hendrix song, also can be interpreted to have some kind of message. So she had this on her license plate for the longest time, and then apparently somebody, no fun, reported her, and the state took action, and she wound up in court. So Tennessee residents must register their motor vehicles with the state before operating them on Tennessee roads, according to the Tennessee Code. This registration requirement has existed for more than a century. For just as long, Tennessee has required motor vehicles to display a license plate containing a unique registration code. Sometimes the plate is called a tag. At first, the state assigned each vehicle a registration number, but did not issue standard plates. And believe it or not, there's a time when you could actually make your own plate as long as you had the numbers on it. You could have homemade plates or store-bought plates, but it got to the point where the state finally said, we'll make the plates. So from 1915 until 1998, each plate contained the word Tennessee, or the abbreviation TENN, whatever that stands for, along with a state-generated unique number or alphanumeric combination that identified the vehicle. At various times, plates also featured the county name, the shape of the state, the state seal, a tri-star design, the words volunteer state or tnvacation.com, or the motto, in God we trust. So the state's plates over time have evolved. In 1998, Tennessee began offering specialty plate designs and personalized plates, sometimes called vanity plates, in addition to standard license plates. Personalized plates allow drivers to choose a specific alphanumeric combination to display on their license plate instead of a state-generated combination. Whether randomly generated or personally selected, the combination on a license plate must be unique. Okay, so it can't duplicate one that's already out there. That wouldn't make much sense. Each combination must contain 7 or fewer alphanumeric characters. The license plate containing the combination must be attached on the rear of the vehicle and clearly visible. And again, all of these are things from the Tennessee Code. To obtain a personalized plate, a vehicle owner must complete an application and pay an additional $35 fee. The applicant may request up to 3 alphanumeric combinations ranked in order of preference. The Commissioner of the Department of Revenue has statutory authority to approve or deny any proposed combination. That's right in the code in Tennessee. It says in Tennessee's laws, the Commissioner has the right to approve or deny. The application states in bold that Tennessee reserves the right to refuse to issue objectionable combinations. The Commissioner is statutorily prohibited from issuing any license plate commemorating any practice which is contrary to public policy of the state, or any combination of letters, numbers, or positions that may carry connotations offensive to good taste and decency, or that are misleading. Now, I'm not sure what a misleading license plate would be, but As you can imagine, trying to go through abbreviations that are no longer than 7 letters or numbers and trying to discern what these things mean can get tricky, and some might be open to more than one interpretation. But Tennessee's Department of Revenue reviews all applications for personalized plates, and a personalized plate may not be issued without the department's approval. So Tennessee has currently around 60,000 active personalized plates that are out there. So to facilitate the review of the plates, the department identified several objectionable categories, including profanity, violence, sex, illegal substances, derogatory slang terms, and racial or ethnic slurs. Categories do not appear in the department's regulations, however, or in any handbook or other official document. When reviewing applications, the inventory unit also consults the Urban Dictionary and an internal document called the Objectionable Table that lists thousands of configurations previously deemed objectionable. And many of them are things that people have actually tried to get on their plate, hoping they could get it done. And I'm not going to give the examples here because I have to bleep them anyways, but they involve profanity, violence, sexual activity, illegal substances, or racial or ethnic slurs. The department also has a general policy of rejecting configurations with the sequence 6-9 because of the number's connotations, unless the number refers to the vehicle's model year. So if you had a 69 Mustang and you had put on your plate MUST 69, you could say, well, that means Mustang 69. And I'm guessing they'll approve that. Now, some people might not realize it's on the back of a Mustang, and they might go, I must do what now? So if the reviewing member, and I'm simply pointing that out because we've already got an issue. If the reviewing member of the inventory unit determines the requested combination is not prohibited and the application satisfies all other requirements, the application is approved. If the reviewer does not recommend approval, the application moves up the chain for further review. The review process is far from perfect. Examples abound of personalized plates approved by the inventory that should have been deemed objectionable. And as a sampling, they give a bunch here, but I can't go into those too much. But we've heard about these stories on the news about all the rejected plates this year. In those situations, the department has authority to rescind the erroneously issued plates. So they're pointing out that the law specifically says that if a plate sneaks through and they spot it later, they can rescind it. The law says that. Personalized plates are issued for the applicant's use only on the authorized motor vehicle. If the vehicle owner transfers title to the vehicle, he or she must surrender the plate to the department through the county clerk or apply to transfer the plate to another vehicle. So back in 2010, the plaintiff here applied for a personalized plate. She requested 3 different alphanumeric combinations in order of preference, and 69 PWNDU was the one that they gave her and that she asked for as her first one. In a section of the application that allows the applicant to explain the significance of the characters, she wrote, PWND is a video gaming term. The first one is my Google phone number. And she said that her Google phone number was 69. It was a reference to the year of the moon landing, she says. The parties agree, however, that it can also have a sexual connotation. So as she noted in her application, the PWND is an expression that originated in the gaming community, and it means to be owned or dominated, and that's from the Urban Dictionary, which they cite here. I've never seen the Urban Dictionary cited in a Supreme Court opinion at a state-level Supreme Court. So that's a first for me. So even though her requested combination included the number 69, the inventory unit approved the application and issued the plate that read 69 PWNDU. She displayed the plate on her vehicle for the next 11 years, and no one complained. But in May of 2021, the Department of Revenue's Director of Personnel received a text on his personal cell phone alerting him to this plate. He then brought the plate to the attention of the inventory unit. The department reviewed the plate and determined that it should be revoked because it referred to sexual domination. Now, it's a long way to get there, but the point is that they issued her a plate and then they withdrew the plate from her. And as they point out, the law says they can do that. This entire argument boils down to, is the face of this plate a place where you have freedom of speech or not? That's the entire argument. The entire argument. And in case you're curious, Michigan does the exact same thing. So if you apply for a plate such as LWYRDOG, they're going to go, what does that mean? To which I wrote, I am a lawyer. I like dogs. I did not say it involves an extremely complex joke having to do with whether or not lawyer dogs exist in some states. But that's another story for another day. So she then requested an administrative hearing regarding the revocation when she got notice of this, and she went to such a hearing, and she argued that it was a First Amendment issue and that it should be protected. And they went through this whole thing about people testifying, and finally the panel rejected her claim and entered judgment for the state. So as relevant here, the panel concluded that the code does not violate the First Amendment because the combinations on the personalized plate are government speech that does not implicate the First Amendment's prohibition of viewpoint discrimination. So when I said that we're talking about just the language on the plate, the question is this language yours or is this the government? Because while you might choose the alphanumeric combination on the face of the plate, the state has to approve it. The state's the one that has it put there. And then the state is the one that authorizes the plate and requires you to put the plate in your car. And everything about the plate has to do with the state. You do have some input on the 7-letter combination. But is that your speech or is that government speech? Because if it's the government's own speech, obviously they can censor themselves. And the question here is this censorship of you or censorship of the state itself? So the Court of Appeals reversed this. The court concluded that the first and second factors that they talk about here tilted toward private speech, while the third factor was neutral. And they're talking about a case called Walker versus Texas, where they talked about whether or not a license plate there constituted speech of the owner of the plate or of the state. And of course, Texas law would not govern in Tennessee, but they can look to it as instructive. So they looked at it and they said, okay, so now it's up in front of the Tennessee Supreme Court. And they review this as a constitutional law issue. And they narrow it down. The single issue presented by this appeal is whether the alphanumeric characters on Tennessee's personalized license plates are government speech. She challenges that, and the state disagrees. We begin by examining the court's government speech precedents before applying them to the facts before us. And they're talking about precedents within Tennessee's own court system. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution prohibits the government from abridging the freedom of speech. Among other things, that means that the government may not regulate speech in a manner that discriminates based on the viewpoint the speech expresses. But the First Amendment does not constrain the government when it is speaking for itself. Were the rule otherwise, it would be difficult for the government to function. The government must adopt and convey particular viewpoints to achieve its policy goals. If the public disagrees with those viewpoints, its remedy lies in the political process, not by fighting it with the First Amendment. Sometimes the government receives assistance from private sources when it delivers a government-controlled message. When private speakers are involved, it can be difficult to tell whether a government entity is speaking on its own behalf or is providing a forum for private speech. And so some people could argue and say, well, Steve, this tag here is a forum. But the question is that a forum for you or is it a forum for the government? The line between government speech and private speech must be drawn carefully because the government speech doctrine is susceptible to dangerous misuse. In the past 2 decades, the United States Supreme Court has attempted to draw the line between government speech and private speech in at least 4 different cases. And in some of them, the court agreed with the government that the speech at issue was government speech. And in the other 2, it said that the speech was not government speech. So one case called Walker, the court considered whether Texas's specialty license plate designs were government speech. For an additional fee, Texas allowed vehicle owners to bypass the standard plates and instead choose from an assortment of specialty license plates. Some of the designs were specifically authorized by the legislature. So they're not talking about the actual alphanumeric combination. They're talking about slogans or logos and things. And I'm sure you've seen that some states do have things on there for, like, say, what university you support. But I've also seen some that support causes. And I've seen some causes that look kind of political. And the question is the state endorsing political viewpoints by telling people that they can buy a license plate from the state that has a political slogan on it or something? And so that's what they're talking about. But the court concluded that Texas's plate designs are often closely identified in the public mind with the state. The court noted that each Texas plate is a government article serving the government purpose of vehicle registration and identification, and that Texas owns the designs on the plates, including the designs that Texas adopts on the basis of proposals made by private individuals and organizations. The court equated license plates to government IDs and reasoned that a person who displays a message on a Texas license plate likely intends to convey to the public that the state has endorsed the message. Otherwise, an individual could simply display the message in larger letters on a bumper sticker right next to the plate. And by the way, that's another point here, is that if you want to put something so important on your plate here that you're willing to take it to the Supreme Court, you could also put it in gigantic letters across the back of your vehicle, which many people do. So the court found that Texas maintains direct control over the messages conveyed on its specialty plates. But remember, specialty plates are not vanity plates. Because it has final authority over the designs and had actively exercised this authority by rejecting at least a dozen proposed designs, the court underscored that the involvement of private parties in the design and propagation of a message does not extinguish the governmental nature of the message or transform the government's role into that of a mere forum provider. So here, the court says we evaluate whether the alphanumeric combinations on Tennessee's personalized license plates are government speech by considering the following factors: the history of the expression at issue, the public's likely perception as to who is speaking. Again, is this the government speaking or is this me speaking? Could be either. And the extent to which the government has actively shaped or controlled the expression. We remain mindful, however, that the government speech inquiry is holistic and should be driven by a case context. The ultimate question its inquiry is designed to answer is whether the government intends to speak for itself or to regulate private expression. So looking at the history, the parties dispute the level of generality at which we should conduct our historical inquiry. The state points us to Tennessee's historical use of registration numbers generally, while the plaintiff urges us to focus on the details of Tennessee's personalized plate program. The Supreme Court examined generally whether, insofar as license plates have conveyed more than state names and vehicle identification numbers, they have communicated messages from the state. The court also discussed Texas's license plates. It noted that Texas had communicated through its license plate designs and gave as examples slogans and emblems that appeared on its general issue plates, as well as legislative authorized specialty plate designs. Given our obligation to conduct a holistic government speech analysis, we consider both the general history of alphanumeric combinations on license plates and the specific history of Tennessee's personalized plate program. Now, in the dissent to that case, the judge wrote, license plates originated solely as a means of identifying vehicles. States began requiring automobiles to display registration numbers on license plates in the early 20th century. Tennessee began requiring vehicle owners to register their cars with the state and to display the registration number assigned to them in a conspicuous manner, et cetera, et cetera. Today, vehicle owners are still required to display a distinct registration number in a clearly visible manner. The registration number communicates to law enforcement and members of the public that the number can be used to identify the vehicle. The plaintiff argues that this display of identifying information is not government speech. In her view, the government speaks only if it communicates messages or ideas. But even dry information, devoid of advocacy, political relevance, or artistic expression, such as technical scientific information, instructions, or recipes, constitutes speech. The randomly generated alphanumeric combinations on Tennessee's license plates are the government's medium for communicating identifying information about the vehicle. The general history of the program thus favors the state. What about the specific history of Tennessee's personalized plate program? As the plaintiff notes, that program has been around for only 26 years. But throughout that time, the combinations on the plates, like the combinations on the general issue plates, have communicated identifying information about the vehicle on which they're displayed, because the personalized combinations must be distinct from other combinations already used. And the plate containing that combination must be clearly visible and readable from a distance of 100 feet. According to the plaintiff, Tennessee's personalized alphanumeric combinations could not possibly convey messages from the government because the state told applicants that personalized plates would contain their own unique message. Well, different speakers, however, may convey different things through the same medium of speech. In one case, the court explained that the thoughts or sentiments expressed by a government entity that accepts and displays an object may be quite different from those of its creator or its donor. A vehicle owner may request the combination YOLO to express something about her life philosophy. But when the department approves that personalized plate, it's using the combination to communicate something different. By the way, it's you only live once. Just there's two people out there. What's that mean? YOLO. And that the vehicle may be identified using a unique combination of characters. And because the state communicates something with that combination also, it reviews applications to ensure that the combination is neither offensive nor contrary to the state's public policy. The 11th Circuit's decision in one case is instructive in this regard. That case concerned a school district's program that allowed schools to hang banners on their fences to recognize the sponsors of school programs. The banners included the business name, phone number, web address, and logo. They used a uniform size, color, and font, and included a message thanking the sponsor. In concluding that the banners were government speech, the 11th Circuit explained that the government used the banners as a way of saying thank you. The fact that the sponsors may receive an incidental benefit from the banners in the form of publicity or goodwill does not refute the distinct governmental purpose of the banners themselves. Here, the alphanumeric combinations on personalized plates are Tennessee's way of communicating, identifying information about the vehicle to law enforcement and the public. Any incidental benefit to vehicle owners who choose personalized plates to express their own message does not refute this distinct government purpose. In sum, both the general history of registration plates and license plates and the specific history, personalized plates, cut in favor of the state. But there's one more thing. The public's perception of who is speaking. You pull up behind me and you see this license plate. Do you think this message here is from the driver or owner of the car? It's almost always the same person, by the way, driver and the owner of the car. And you might think, no, that's the government speaking. Well, one case held that the public was likely to perceive Texas's specialty plate designs as government speech because Texas license plates are essentially government IDs. The reasoning applies equally to Tennessee's personalized license plates. They are government articles that drivers are statutorily required to display on their vehicles, and that must be returned to the government when revoked or no longer in use. As in that case, a person who displays a message on a personalized Tennessee license plate likely intends to convey to the public that the state has endorsed the message. Otherwise, you'd use a bumper sticker. Now, I disagree with that. I don't think anybody looks at this license plate and goes, check it out. The state of Michigan says Steve's a lawyer dog. Now, they do say I'm a lawyer, but I don't think they qualify me as a lawyer dog. The plaintiff attempts to distinguish that case by pointing out that at least some of Texas's specialty license plate designs were state-created, whereas no personalized plate combinations are state-created, at least who came up with the idea. But the Supreme Court's analysis of public perception in that case did not turn on the feature of Texas's program. To the contrary, it focused on the governmental nature of the plates themselves, not the governmental nature of the special designs on the plates. And so the whole opinion is 20 pages long. It goes on and on from there, but basically it boils down to what I said earlier, and that is that everybody knows how this works. This plate was printed and sent to me by the state of Michigan after I requested it and nobody else had asked for it, as far as we know. And I've put that plate on my car, and so you're driving along behind my car, and you see this plate, and it says Pure Michigan. Well, you know the state put that there. And Michigan.org, state put that there. The plate is white and blue. obviously created by the state of Michigan. And these letters, everyone knows I requested those because that's not a combination that I think would occur normally with our regular license plates, because usually it's a couple letters or a few letters and a few numbers. Depends on the plate. And so people are going to go, okay, that is a vanity plate. That's a personalized plate. He ordered those, okay? So the question then becomes weighing all of that information. And what we're talking about here again is this speech? And is this speech my speech, or is it the state's speech? And the Tennessee Supreme Court is saying, at least in Tennessee, that that's got to be considered state speech. The state is the one who's speaking through that license plate. Therefore, they've got the right to revoke the plate. Now, a lot of people right now are angrily hammering away at their keyboards, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all, because I disagree with this. I disagree with this to an extent. I have people right now who are going to be going, but Steve, you're also wrong. You're wrong on both counts. I actually don't have a problem with the state limiting obscene things, for instance. Obviously obscene things. Michigan allows 7 characters. Is that right? 7? Yes. Michigan allows 7 characters. I can think of a few things I could write in 7 characters that are clearly obscene. Okay? Now, if I'm driving down the street and I see a license plate in the back of a car that's clearly obscene, and I look at it, I don't think, oh, the state is telling me to go do something. I think to myself, okay, somebody, as a joke, has put something obscene on their plate and got it put on their car. Because I know the state of Michigan has said specifically you cannot put obscene things on plates. But I don't know if anybody's taking it to the Michigan Supreme Court yet. And if they did, I suspect that they'd rule the same way here. But I can see the argument. But I think it's an interesting situation because this license plate is actually a combination. This is a quasi situation, okay? It's a combination of things. This is my speech. This is state speech. But the moment you take it and put it on your car and other people in traffic have got to look at it and it's obscene, I can see people saying, you know something, that does imply that the state approves of that speech because the state is the one who printed the plate and sold it to the guy. So there you go. But as of right now, Tennessee has ruled specifically on the issue. The issue with the Texas plate that made it to the Supreme Court was talking about these things, the taglines and the endorsements that clearly come from the state. So I can't call up the state of Michigan and go, I want a personalized plate, and I want you to change the wording up here. They're going to go, no. The other wording on the plate, we get that. So I think it's a hybrid situation. I think it is both state and my speech. But I think in the interest of obscenity being broadcast in the public sphere, I think that the courts would probably say that they can draw a line somewhere. And where you draw the line will never make anybody happy. So there you are. Thank you to everybody who sent me the case and the suggestion. There's been quite a bit written about it out there. But remember, it boils down to who is speaking. Not up here, not down here, but who is speaking right here. And I understand the point that the person who ordered the plate is speaking there. But they're speaking on a forum that is required by state law and is actually being provided to them by the state. So the state will have, I believe, a good argument that they can regulate that. And until the U.S. Supreme Court rules on that specifically, we won't have a direct answer. So there you go. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye. At the top of the video, I told you there'd be an ad at the end. Here we are. I'm here to talk to you about Flexi Spot chairs. Flexi Spot chairs. I've talked to you about them before. And in fact, I'm sitting in a Flexi Spot chair. However, I got a new Flexi Spot chair that is an upgrade from this one. I spend a lot of time sitting. And while we're talking, I'm going to run you through and let you watch me adjust the chair. We're talking about the Flexi Spot C7 Max Ergonomic chair. So when I shoot my videos, I spend 8-9 minutes at a time sitting in this chair. I spend a lot of time, however, sitting at my desk working. And so the chair I've got at my desk when I'm working is the Flexi Spot C7 Max Ergonomic Chair. I got this chair recently. It's got all kinds of adjustments. It is extremely comfortable. I can sit in this chair for hours and hours and hours every single day, and I know this because I have. It's the chair I spend the most time in, okay? And so I'm going to walk you through down in the corner here all the adjustments that you can make to this chair. So the headrest is adjustable. The lumbar support supports you as you sit in the chair. The armrests are adjustable a million different ways. You can raise them, lower them, swing them out, swing them in. It's one of those things that until you actually have a chair that does these things, you don't go, gee, it's hard to imagine all the different things you can do with the settings and how cool that is. So among other things, at my desk, I found that I can set the armrests just low enough to where they don't bump the desk, that kind of thing, right? Also, you're going to see me messing around with the adjustments underneath the seat. On one side, you can make the adjustments so the chair will lean back, or you can lock the chair so the back doesn't go back on you like that. You can also slide the seat, the part you're actually sitting on. You can slide that forward or backward. And you can also use the footrest. There's a footrest that folds up underneath it, and you can use the footrest if you so desire. So I will admit that I have this in my office where I work. I don't use the footrest that much when other people are around. It's not a good look when they go, hey, he's leaning back, he's got his feet up. I think he's asleep. I'm telling you right now, the amount of time I spend in that chair, it's amazingly comfortable, but how adjustable it is also really cool. But the other thing I got to tell you about FlexiSpot is they stand behind their products. The C7 chair comes with a 10-year warranty and free returns for 30 days. Okay? So if you order the chair, you don't like it, boom, send it back, free. But 10-year warranty, and I'm here to tell you, I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'2". I wear a double XL shirt. That might give you a hint that I'm kind of husky. And I'm going to tell you right now that I've owned this chair for quite some time, and I've had the FlexiSpot C7 Max Ergonomic chair. I've had it for a few months now, and it's extremely durable. It's rugged. I haven't had it for 10 years yet, but I suspect the 10-year warranty will be nice to know it's there, but I doubt I'm going to have to invoke it. So I love my FlexiSpot chair, and I can't speak highly enough of it. In fact, I had a friend over the other day, and I said, hey, have a seat. He's like, whoa, I like this chair. So again, that's one of the reasons I've got the FlexiSpot chair on the set here is that I upgraded the other chair, and so I moved the FlexiSpot here. But I love my FlexiSpot chair. So chair is the perfect choice. You spend a lot of time seated, and you can use code Lehto's Law for $50 off your chair. So just click on the link below. Take a look. It's available in a bunch of different colors, and they've got other chairs. I've done a video before about the recliner. They've got a recliner, and by they, I mean I've got one too. It's in my living room. It gets sat upon every single day. And likewise, my office chair and my set chairs, I refer to this one. So I love FlexiSpot. Check them out. I'll put the link where you can go look at their stuff. It's on the screen. It's down below the video. It's in the first pinned comment. But right now, we're talking about the chair I demonstrated in the corner here, the FlexiSpot C7 Max Ergonomic chair. It is the most comfortable work chair I've ever sat in, and all the adjustments and things that are available with it means that I suspect you're going to agree with me that it is an amazing chair. So again, perfect choice. You spend a lot of time seated, and I do. I bet you do too. Use code Lehto's Law for $50 off your chair. The FlexiSpot C7 Max Ergonomic chair.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law.
The only way out is through.